You know, immigration is such a hot political topic, but when you look at it and when you study it, it really all boils down to people. I want to introduce you to three people who were forced to leave their country of birth and experience the most horrendous abuse on their way to the United States. Because for them, asylum is literally about life or death.
En Honduras nos matan.
In Honduras, they kill us. In Honduras, I saw many of my friends dead on the side of the streets, in the sewers.
Michelle Carranza, her friend Greta Mazariegos, and Greta's younger brother Isaac together fled Honduras a year and a half ago.
When leaving my country, I never imagined. I never imagined the amount of dangers that I was going to face.
So many obstacles, so much hate, so much violence made them take on a dangerous journey.
We had to leave our country because of discrimination and beatings.
We were persecuted for being part of the LGBTQ community.
In Honduras, I feel that not only me, but a lot of people from the LGBT community have to escape because they fear losing their lives.
They left Honduras, traveled through Guatemala, into Chiapas in Mexico, finally making it to Tijuana near the U.S. border.
In Tijuana is where I experienced the ugliest part of migrating through Mexico.
Michelle says in that final stop, in Tijuana, she was raped and left to die.
He looked at me and said, "Today you're going to die. Today is the last time you see the sunlight." The man who raped me, he raped me without protection. I lived in the Garden of Butterflies shelter. They arrived at the shelter to administer HIV tests. I got my blood work done, then I go outside with the guy, the nurse, and he said, "Your test came back positive." I think my face even changed color when he told me that my test was positive. I told him, "How is that possible? It can't be possible."
Michelle and her friends survived, but many do not. The Organization of American States found the average life expectancy of trans women in Latin America is no more than 35 years of age. In Mexico, activists have recorded at least 231 murders of LGBTQ people in the last 3 years. Back here, all three now hope to request asylum. Under U.S. law, persecution due to sexual orientation, gender identity, or HIV status are grounds for asylum. Now in New York, breathing the air of freedom, the fear of being killed for who they are is now starting to dissipate.
I want to continue my studies. There's so many things I want to do, so many plans.
I feel protected to be here because in my country, I couldn't be myself because of so much discrimination.
We now feel liberated, we're happy, and emotional about being in this country.
Joining us now is Bridget Crawford, the Director of Law and Policy at Immigration Equality, which represents LGBTQ plus migrants and asylum seekers. Bridget, thank you so much for being with us this morning. You know, what Michelle and Greta and Isaac went through is just so horrendous to hear. What specific grounds for asylum are there in the U.S. and its laws for persecuted LGBTQ people?
Well, I think the good news for them is that LGBTQ asylum seekers have quite strong cases under the law. An asylum seeker must prove that they have something called a well-founded fear of persecution on account of a protected ground in order to get protection. And these protected grounds are your race, religion, nationality, political opinion, and something called a particular social group. And LGBTQ status is widely recognized as fitting very squarely under this definition of particular social group. And what that really means is somebody has to show through evidence that they've been seriously harmed because of their LGBTQ status, or they may be harmed in the future. And You know, the sad reality, as was shown by your guests, is that LGBTQ people face disproportionately high levels of violence throughout much of the world. You know, over 65 countries criminalize LGBTQ activity, 12 countries allow the death penalty, and it is just fundamentally unsafe to be LGBTQ in many more, including Latin American countries, some that might even have some protective laws on the books, but then we still see some of the highest levels of LGBTQ hate crimes in the world in those countries.
What are some of the challenges LGBTQ people face in getting asylum in the U.S.?
Well, I mean, I think there are a lot of them, unfortunately, despite the strength of their underlying claims. You know, the process itself is quite daunting, and there are lots of systemic barriers that make asylum out of reach for people, even who should qualify. For example, you know, there are policies that have been brought under both the Biden and the Trump administration that make people presumptively ineligible for asylum depending on how they enter the country, regardless of how strong their underlying claim is. You know, I think another big challenge for people is navigating this very complex immigration system, often without a lawyer, especially in a language that they may not understand. Studies show that folks who have lawyers are between 5 and 10 times more likely to win relief. But many asylum seekers, especially if they enter across the southern border, don't have an attorney. And many folks struggle without an attorney to access the evidence that would help them prove their claim. And I think this is particularly pronounced and hard when people are detained. So many asylum seekers are put in immigration jails just because they asked for asylum and assistance. And LGBTQ people face particularly abusive conditions in U.S. immigration jails and often struggle to find lawyers or even prepare their cases.
Yeah, and I mean, so many people who make the journey to the United States in the last couple of years tell us that the worst part of their journey is when they have to go through Mexico. You've represented so many asylum seekers. Do LGBTQ people face additional dangers?
Yes. I mean, this is so consistent with what we've seen. Mexico is an asylum-producing country, meaning that we have lots of Mexicans who win their cases for asylum because of what they face in Mexico. And the situation is often worse for refugees from other countries who are traveling through Mexico, who may not have any support system, who may not speak Spanish. You know, we represented a young trans woman from Mexico, just to give you an example of some of the stuff that we pretty regularly see. She suffered horrific abuse at the hands of cartel members. She was kidnapped, held captive for several months. You know, she was literally hung from the ceiling, beaten, slashed with a knife because she was wearing earrings, you know, to humiliate her. They cut her earlobes with scissors, and she was raped so brutally that she had to undergo multiple reconstructive surgeries once she got to the United States to repair the damage. And you know, she won her asylum case. She was represented by counsel in about 30 minutes because it was so strong. But one of the biggest problems that we're running into now in Mexico is these asylum bans that have been brought under both the Trump administration and the Biden administration that make someone ineligible for asylum if they cross the border without authorization. And this means that you have to go through a port of entry to be eligible for asylum. But the issue is that to approach this port of entry, you have to have an appointment, and you might have to wait 6, 7 months to get this appointment. And this strands LGBTQ refugees like my client, like the folks that you had in Mexico in these dangerous conditions.
What a horrible, horrible reality that I'm so glad and I'm so glad that you, Bridget, are doing to shine a light on this. I thank you for being with us this morning. Appreciate it.